Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Real Kyper and Bourne right back at you. Season 2, Episode 7. Justin Bourne, Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick, Sammy. We are, of course, live on YouTube, Sportsnet, all the platforms on podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. What else can I say to avoid the debacle we saw last night?
What a start, Kyper.
Anything else? Let's start off on a happy note.
Oh, a happy note?
We're on Sportsnet now.
Yes, premium.
Premium.
I don't even know if it is premium
for
or
just the low cost of what, $80 a month? What is it? Whatever it is.
We have no idea.
Whatever it is, just join it. Can we
excellent.
spend the next hour telling people how to register for Sportsnet now?
I think at some point we're going to have to address whatever the hell that was.
Let me just go on a limb and say that Sportsnet now, just excellent value. Whatever you want, just, sign up there. You can get our mugs. You could even get Leafs Talk post-game with myself and JD Bunkus. If you want to watch some of that, Borney was on it last night. I'll be on it tonight.
Everywhere.
So there you go.
We over the last few years have been accused of being overly critical of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I really think that this preseason, we've never been more positive on them.
Yesterday, we were all positive.
Could
Peter
not
positive.
agree more.
Okay.
This is our most upbeat
Stretch of Toronto Maple Leafs. Here they are coming off fault after fault after fault in the first round.
The division.
And yet we're saying we've got some good vibes.
Even with Matt Murray, we think they're going to be fine. That was the whole talk.
And then you watch last night and you go,
it wasn't good.
Thank you, Sheldon. Great drop in. And you're going, did I misread the tea leaves going into game one here already? And we're not sitting here and saying you're going to live and die on a loss.
No.
There's going to be a few of them over the course of the season.
Can't win them all.
But this one really bothers me. For so many reasons.
Yeah.
That we never saw this coming after game one,
No.
even on a loss. But the way they lost has to be somewhat concerning going into tonight, 24 hours later.
I think what's really concerning is that it's just the same old for me, where it's like, you thought last year that the team made strides in their emotional maturity. Anytime in the past, it felt like it was going to be easy for the Leafs. They didn't show up and they lost. That's how they lose 3 times to Buffalo. That's how they give it away, a series away to Montreal a couple years ago. When it's supposed to be easy, you don't get the best of them. It was supposed to be easy last night. They are one of the top 2-3 betting favorites to win the Cup this year. Montreal should be bottom 2-3 teams in the league. Supposed to be easy. They don't show up. Give pucks away. Wrong side of the puck all night. You lose 4-3. You blow it. So same problems.
The one thing that we did talk about yesterday was the thought that, and I know we started the show saying what success, the Leafs winning by 4 goals, 5 goals. But we did mention that Marty St. Louis, he's going to get the guys ready. There's going to be a sense here that he will have them.
It's opening night. Everyone's
prepared.
excited. It's the Leafs home opener. You're going to get a good push.
You're going to get a good push. And yet I can sit here and let's give those kids a lot of credit for not only making it a game, but finding a way to win it. But I'm also watching these turnovers and a lot of those odd man rushes that Sheldon mentioned in the post were served to them on a silver platter.
Yeah.
They didn't earn the odd man rushes. They were given them.
Yep. Yeah, and that's been a problem with the way that the Leafs can tend to play when they think it's going to be easy, and I mentioned that off the top, but they just want to go get the next goal. When they think they should be winning, they're cheating, they're ahead, and they're throwing pucks out blindly. And then all of a sudden it's, oh my God, it's going back quick the other way. And I said last night on that Leafs post-game thing, whatever we're calling
Leafs
it, best buds.
Best buds, yes, Leafs talk.
That those turnovers, those sort of being on the wrong side of things, it reminded me of the Montreal series when they lost to Montreal. It reminded me of outplaying a team that's not as good as you, but being so focused on scoring that you forget about being on the right side of the pile.
Do you think that you can convincingly say that they outplayed the Montreal Canadiens last night? Because I mean,
barely. They were the better team by
like a little bit.
Right.
But I
But
think
they're the better team, I think,
100%,
consensus. So
yes.
you by expecting that, I think you saw them cheating. And
guys, I just right from the start, from the intros, I was just in a bad mood. Like they're bringing out every guy that's ever been injured for the Habs in the last 5 years, introducing them. Everybody's getting a thing. They got to bring out the Bic lighter to light the flame at the center ice with Nick Suzuki.
They're like, here comes Ted Schneebly, healthy scratch. Make him walk the whole airplane
their
runway.
Lineup, that was got to be the worst intro of all time. Like the crowd was like, who's that guy? Who's 26 in red? I guess we'll clap. How did the Leafs lose to those guys?
Let's go to Sheldon Keefe.
Okay.
On just, I guess, the lack of detail. Let's listen.
All right.
Well, it was early season sloppiness, but I don't expect that. I mean, for everything our team has been through together, that's unacceptable. We got to be way more responsible.
Yeah, early season sloppiness. Got to be more responsible. That responsibility is exactly what I'm talking about, just not having the guys in their positions. And you talked about in our group chat about the throwing pucks away and all that. That's what he means by responsibility to me.
I just don't know how 3.5, 4 weeks of training camp wouldn't have been talked about and addressed going into an opponent that you saw on the schedule since when? 3 weeks after Colorado got the cup.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like the conversation of playing down to your opponents snuck up on you.
We played it before the game yesterday.
It's been the biggest talking point about this team for 2 seasons.
Thank you.
It's always a conversation.
And don't look any further than knowing that they lost and gave away the division last year based on that.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as Sheldon can come out and give it to the guys, at some point, isn't someone going up to Sheldon and saying, how was this not addressed in the last month here? How do we walk right in there and play down to our opponents when the whole world's been talking about it?
See, I'm on the other side of that, where at some point, if you're Sheldon Keefe, you have to trust that your guys understand that they recognize that this has been a problem, that they're grown-ups, and that they can figure out, okay, I trust that Austin Matthews knows, what our problem has been, and I don't have to tell him. I'll let him go out there and show me. Now
they're not getting it.
Well, now it's like a kid where it's like, well, you didn't do it enough times that now I have to come in and I have to tell you every time. So I'm sorry you're getting nagged, but.
Well, how many chances does Sheldon get to tell them that before you do what most other teams do and find another voice?
Are you firing the coach after game one?
I'm just saying that it needs to be addressed one way or another. And I think part of his reaction is knowing that he is at the end of his rope when it comes to that. And he had said it. It's like, it's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And I really got a sense last night that he knows what's on the line.
Oh, yeah.
He knows his coach, his general manager is not getting an extension. And the whole world knows that we're kind of joined at the hip a little bit here.
Oh, the pressure's huge.
So it was only game one where Sheldon now is reacting as a guy that sees, can read the tea leaves here.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't keep blowing leads to Buffalo's and Montreal's and then find myself in a position where people are telling me, well, it's a shame that we couldn't avoid Tampa. And it's like, well, if you would have won the division, if you would have beat Buffalo a few more times or Montreal last year, you would have won the division and you could have had a different matchup. But he came across after his post game as a guy that's really running out of patience, but knowing that, these guys, my future is lying on if these guys finally get this lesson on how to play against lesser teams.
Well, to your point, I think the fact that he benched Michael Bunting in game 1 of the season after he scored in the second period on basically a play that Sammy and I picked apart frame by frame wasn't that bad. Wasn't great, but wasn't that bad a play. He's saying to these guys, I don't care who you are, first line, second line, third line, fourth line. I don't care if it's Montreal or it's Tampa Bay. Everyone is going to be held to this standard this year. And you could hear Keith's frustration in the postgame. Let's play the clip, the deserves to lose clip, which I gave away part of the quote, but let's play that clip because that's to me speaks to his frustration.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with our effort. It was just careless. Yeah, it's just careless. So, like I said, I expect more. Our group should expect more. Not good enough. So you deserve to lose.
Yeah, see, I mean, it's not effort, but you need an effort to be careful.
I like that. Effort isn't always physical. It's a mental effort to be in the right spots.
Yeah, it's like, don't take them off the hook because the effort to the attention to detail, the effort to understand your situation out on the ice. Like, read the tea leaves here on when you need to pinch, when Morgan Riley's up, who's backing him up. Mm-hmm. Like, late in the game, late in the period. I think it was the Bunting turnover as well that you're talking about. That was, I think, under 5 minutes in the second period.
Yeah.
And they just cannot read situations when they need to play the percentages, stay safe, stay patient.
Yeah.
And they just want to run and gun.
That's my takeaway from last night is that if you just trust that you're a good hockey team and you do those things you're talking about, just be where you're supposed to be. You have enough game breakers that you're going to find some pucks. You're going to create it. Just don't let Montreal do the one thing they do well, essentially, which is go the other way and fast break. When they beat Toronto in the playoffs a year and a half ago and went to the Stanley Cup final, they did it by scoring more goals within like 5 seconds of a turnover or 10 seconds of a turnover than any other team in the game. Pucks got turned over, they went the other way, and they were dangerous. It's about the only thing they do well offensively. And the Leafs just didn't have that kind of patience last night.
Do you have the first Caulfield goal?
The first one?
On video here?
Yep.
Can you show it to me?
I can. All right. We're gonna walk through a Cole Caulfield, the first goal. All right. This is the one.
So that's Morgan Riley down low on the goal. Here they're 200 feet away, and Morgan goes hard into a forecheck, and he is now under the goal line. Yet
20 seconds into the period.
20 seconds into the period. So you got Morgan down low, you got Bunting in front of the net, and Austin now is in a third high man. Mm-hmm. But he's in a third man high as if Morgan's still back there.
Yeah, he's in an offensive position there, not
he's
a defensive
in a total one. So now he's thinking all offense. And what happens? The puck comes back into the slot, and the Leafs now have literally 4 guys.
Yeah, it's a whole play from
the
Marner.
hash marks
he's throwing
in.
it to nothing good.
And now you've got 2 of the most dangerous players in Suzuki and Cole Caulfield going on a 2-on-1 for 150 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a good, exactly what we're talking about. Instead of staying patient, covering off for Riley, just the chances will come. We don't need to create. We're up a goal. Didn't see that much last night. Why don't we listen to Sheldon talk about the fourth goal, and then you and I can take a look at the fourth goal and see if we see some of that. Go ahead and play the game-winning goal clip from Sheldon.
Well, it starts in the offensive zone. We got an opportunity to put the puck in deep and just let the clock wind down in the offensive zone. We're trying to get it to the net. To me, that's a tough lane to get it through. That was one of our issues all night long. Is we're just forcing pucks that weren't. There's no play there. It's a tough play. You can put the puck to a better spot, and I would allow us to And the game-winning goal is probably let the clock just wind down in the offensive zone, or at the very least, they're not going to be going fast break the other way and getting life again. So it starts there, and then obviously the puck's kind of bouncing around a little bit there, and we give it back to them in our own end too. So it's, again, from what we've been through as a team, as experienced a team as we are, that's unacceptable.
Oh, man, this one really would bother me if I'm Sheldon Keefe, because here you are, and Monahan takes the Canadians to the lead late.
Yarn Croc on the wrong side of a pile there.
And then Nylander and Tavares get you back in the game and get you at least a point.
Go get your free point. Go get your point and just
get your point.
You're on the road.
Lock it down to Sheldon's point. But he's got guys out there now who are cookie monsters.
But they're probably out there because they scored, right? He's like, these guys are doing something.
But that's fine if you know that at least they're responsible to protect and to read a situation. Michael Nylander is out on the ice with less than a minute to go. Yeah. And is there a thought in his head, just a thought about don't get caught, don't get burned on a goal? Worst case scenario is we go in overtime 3-on-3. I like our chances.
No.
They
You know
what they're thinking?
They want to go win the game.
They want to go win the game.
Yeah.
And it starts in the offensive zone with under 40 seconds. And it also starts with Justin Hall.
Yeah, so Willie goes in the forecheck and kind of pulls up. Frankly, he could get to the puck first, but whatever, Montreal puts it back to Toronto's point. Justin Hall gets the puck just inside the blue line, 35 seconds left. Absolutely no reason to do anything but put it back into the corner, run the clock out if you create something great.
Keep the puck along the wall.
Right.
But he's going to force it to the middle of the ice.
He wants to put it on net, and it hits the Montreal defender's skate, bounces out to the middle, and bam, you got a 2-on-1 going the other way. Hall's chasing the play. I mean, at that point, now you're running around, right? Now you're filling in the gaps. Everyone's trying to cover for one another. Montreal gets a puck back. They throw it on net. Muzzin gets it and gets solid possession. And what do you get from Toronto's players? Willie's, starting to lead the zone, thinking he can pick up, I don't know, maybe going to rush the other way because Montreal's leaning forward.
See, and everyone's going to sit there and blame Jake Muzzin.
Which he deserves
Which, for sure.
Yeah.
I am not taking him off the hook. But it's the body language of Nylander that's leading him to think that we're going to catch them flat-footed.
Go.
And no one, I don't know what the stats are, but no one has had more breakaways than Willie Nylander that I've known.
Yeah.
But the main reason why is because you cheat.
Yeah.
It's calculated, and yet under 20 seconds to go, Nylander's back is to Jake Muzzin looking for that break on the game-winning goal to be a hero. Mm-hmm. And what happens? Suzuki steps in right in front of Nylander, and Tavares is a little guilty there looking for his cookies too. And now you've got Muzzin and Hall trying to play goaltending, right?
Yeah, Murray not seeing that puck. A great shot, by the way.
Great shot. Hull's nowhere near the shooter, but he's going to go down and take a good portion of Matt Murray's eyes away.
Yeah, which brings us to Matt Murray. Game 1, what do you think?
If the Leafs are going to allow an east-west, I can't think of a more horrible thing for Matt Murray. Matt Murray's a shot blocker who has to come out, be big, and just hope that his ass is covered off the posts. What you saw was anything but. I thought he was good the first 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, the play worked in a way that it kind of hit him, right? He was in the right spots. As you mentioned, big guy, good angles. Mostly.
The Cole Caulfield coming down, he for whatever reason, he was worried about the pass or backdoor. You just have to play Cole Caulfield there and come out and be as big as you can.
That glove of Murray's has been an issue for years.
Try to take. He was just too far back in.
Yeah.
So then there's not one guy I liked he's not certainly the first finger I would point at in this hockey game.
I am curious to see if Matt Murray makes some sort of change, because he's so wide. He's so low and wide that he can't, as you mentioned, east to west, he can't get across the net without doing a couple shuffles, because he can't make one good, strong push. I guess this low stance, I'm not a goalie coach, but I guess that puts his glove lower because everything comes down a little bit. What's curious to see, though, is, the goalie coach he has now, John Elkin, is a guy who has preached this sort of low style of play and wide. And I think Curtis Sanford, their goalie coach for the team, does not like it as much. I'm curious to know if he makes any sort of adjustment. Just reading guys on Twitter who are goalie guys, Woodley and McKenna and whatever, they think it looks like Murray of old when he wasn't playing well, and that concerns them. And that concerns me as someone while talking about the Leafs.
Sammy?
Me as well, Justin. Listen, I agree with you guys. I thought I was incredibly encouraged for the first 25 to 30 minutes of that game by Jack Campbell. God.
We'll get to his first 3 shots on goal last night. Don't worry.
No, I was encouraged by Matt Murray. I thought he looked good. I thought he looked big. I thought he looked squared and everything. But, the athleticism is a thing, right? It's not like you said, Kyper, the east-west stuff is not what his strength is. No. And I'm not, I don't think he was at fault, really, on most of the goals. I guess the Caulfield one, but that guy rips it. But one of those ones you'd like a save if you're gonna break it down. And the game, the one that went ahead and make it 3-2, bounces off Muzzin's skate, lands right on a stick in the slot, it's a goal. But you just need 1 or 2 saves. And how many times have we talked about that? Last year, we feel like we said that every game. Where it's he could have used a save here, he could have used a save there. Now we're starting this over again.
When they scored, the Leafs scored to make it 3-3, I thought of the Caulfield goal, and I was like, this reminds me of last year with Campbell when he wasn't playing well, where the Leafs are going to bail out their goaltender, and we're not going to have to nitpick each and every goal because they find a way despite imperfect goaltending. But if you have better goaltending in that game, I don't know. I don't think it's the game's won, more or less.
There wasn't a guy to be found that you could say was
on the Leafs.
Mitch Marner probably looked as close to what we expect out of him than anyone else.
You know what?
That setup to bunting was off the charts.
Didn't like Tavares? I liked Tavares last night.
I thought Tavares was fine too.
Too many giveaways, boys. I'm sorry, but he gives the puck away. Many turnovers. Get milk off and put on Sarah Lee last night. Because they were turnover machines.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That took me a second. I got you now. Yeah. Thank you,
I thought Tavares was he moved well though. I was
Pillsbury?
encouraged.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Engvall, I thought was okay.
Did you see
Riley,
Engvall?
okay.
Even on the Monahan goal, you talk about a bad break. Go watch the battles lost along the wall from Kampf, and then the puck comes back to I think Harris. Go watch Engvall get to the point.
Yeah.
He's 8 feet away from him, and he starts going into the double flamingo. I don't know. He thinks he's going to block it. Yeah. Just get on your horse and go hard to the guy.
Yeah.
Is that old? They don't do that anymore?
Well, what they're supposed to do is get into the lane first. You want to move laterally first, then up and out to the point. So you get in the lane one way or the other.
Get in the lane. Exactly.
Yeah. A big concern when I don't know if we actually went through the process of what is your worst case scenario for this Leafs team? How does it all fall apart if it were to go bad? Last night, there was a scenario that made itself clear, and that's that the D has aged quicker than you expect. Because Jake Muzzin, I thought, moved like a 15-year-old golden retriever trying to climb upstairs. It was not nimble. Giordano took a penalty. You guys agree that first penalty is boots related, no?
Yes.
100%. Don't have the foot speed to
You're
get
not gonna
back.
be able to pivot. You're just
I need to cheat a little bit.
Yep.
And he got caught.
I thought Hall could be on the wrong side of things too. He's in his 30s now, I think. Going back on pucks, I didn't think he was great. Sandin looks like he hadn't been in training camp. The worst case scenario is that the D looks immobile or older, and I thought they looked really bad. A really bad start for the Leafs D last night. Outside, I thought Riley and Brody were a fine pair.
Yeah, and I know it's obvious caveat that it's all one game and, we can get bent out of shape about it. But I do legitimately think that the way that Jake Muzzin and Justin Holl, but specifically Muzzin, who plays a massive role in this team, I thought the way he looked last night was a massive red flag. Like, I was just concerned pretty much the whole night with him.
Some of the concerns last season have already crept into game one.
Yeah.
So how quickly can Muzzin turn this thing around? Does he need time? Does he need rest? Does he need to think that he's not the player he used to be?
It's a scary thought for the Leafs here. Because we've talked about it. He's an important contributor. They need him.
If I'm not mistaken, that's 5'9" on the books. 5'6", 2'5" for this year
and
next year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
no move trade or no move clause.
No move clause till July 1st. Then it goes to 10.
Oh, does it?
I think so.
Oh.
But by then it's too late to.
Oh yeah, no, you're talking this year.
This year.
The problem is Jake Muzzins are impossible to find, and teams don't give them up. Like, you cannot. I understand.
May give them up.
Well, they give
just
them up
have
now.
to pay a hefty price.
Well, but I just mean, like, if you want a young version of him, a guy who's effective as good Jake Muzzin,
Why do you think Buffalo paid Samuelson
right
over $4 million for 7 years?
Just get a guy 6'4", 230 who plays physical and say, okay, we want that. You know who I miss, boys? I miss the Boosh.
Yeah.
Labushkin.
Another disappointment that there was really no physical presence by the Leafs.
No, I thought Matthews a couple times looked frustrated and ran into people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can we just discuss that season openers out of Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon and Matthews? Very disappointed in Austin Matthews last night.
Absolute stinker.
And he's usually really good in the first game. Like, when he's played in the first, I mean, we can talk about his rookie year, but I feel like he usually scores a goal in the first game or, like, is really competing in the first game when he plays it. And I thought last night, like, he also vaporized one off the bar on the power play. Like, it was like a centimeters from being a ferocious bar down. But,
right, he had one great shot for sure.
Shift after shift, the one thing I thought that was missing entirely in his game was pace of play.
Yeah.
I didn't see him drive up to a level where usually when he's at the top of his game, man, teams are chasing him.
Yeah.
They're trying to hang on. They're not getting a piece of him, or he's just bumping off of them and going.
Yeah.
That was missing last night from him.
Yeah, he didn't create anything. Like, he created absolutely nothing at 5-on-5.
Oh, no. Let's go a little further here. And I don't know if anyone's been talking about this all day. Major concern for me, power play.
Yeah.
Major concern.
Last month of the season, it stunk, right? Last year?
Stunk.
And
that's an
playoffs.
understatement.
Yeah.
It was horrific. It went from one of the hottest in history, right? They were talking about the Montreal Canadiens at
1960 Canadians. I don't know what year.
31.5%, 34%. I don't know. The Leafs were historically right up there.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what that stretch they went through. Do you remember? It was like 2-48 or something.
Listen, I know Austin Matthews shoots it like no one else, and I know he shoots it, shot it off the post yesterday. I know William Nylander shoots it like crazy from that other side or whatever. I hate that they're not on their one-timer sides. The catch and release wrist shot thing, I hate it. I hate that they can't get rid of it quicker.
That game alone could have been looked after with the power play. 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Go to the following doubleheader game last night. Edmonton and Van down 3-0.
Edmonton's tic-tac-toe Leon out of the middle of the corner. Oh,
power
so
play.
good.
6 seconds later, Vancouver's digging the puck out of their net.
It was nasty.
The Leafs shouldn't be nasty.
They should be nasty.
Nylander, Tavares, Matthews, Marner, right. Where was any nastiness on their power play last night?
No nastiness. Non-nasty. Yeah, no, it's a good point. And I think you text our group pretty early into things, like the boys went the full 2 minutes on the first unit, first PP of the year. It's like,
There was another one where they went
2.5.
2.5. Marner needed to come back and save a goal.
He's playing D
after over 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I got that reminds me to listen to Chris Cuthbert's call last night describing the second power play unit for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And boys, if you're listening to the show, get used to this line.
Now the second unit comes out and just 10 seconds left in the power play.
There, hey boys, good luck.
Yeah, and
good luck.
The coaching staff's going, don't say we don't put you on the power play.
You got time for one shot, baby.
I want a hard 10 seconds on all those things that we talked about in practice.
Yeah.
Can you just do them in 10 seconds?
The stupidest thing, too, is that messes up all the lines after. Like, if there's only going to be even 20 seconds left, you don't even put out a second unit. Just put out the next line.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's so not a great look out of the gates. Did we haven't done the Matt Murray clip from Keefe yet? Do you want to just complete our run
absolutely.
at Kyper's Clippers?
Yeah, because I want to follow it up with where does this scenario go? Where do we think it'll go?
Okay, I like it.
I thought our guys hung him out to dry. It's one of the most dangerous teams in the NHL on the rush. Ever since their coaching change last year, they established themselves as one of the most dangerous teams on the rush. Caulfield, Anderson, these guys are some of the most dangerous shooters there are off a transition. And we talked a little about that this morning, talked about it before the game, and fed right into it.
Awfully high
So
praise
we're going
for
to
a
see
team
Samsonov
we are
tonight.
Yep.
As we knew all along once the schedule came out.
Sammy's wearing a Samsonov jersey.
Sammy.
Sammy.
We assume despite whatever happens tonight won't really change anyone's mind in terms of coming back with Matt Murray
Yes, it
Saturday
will.
night.
Yes, it will.
Are you crazy?
Are we that early?
What if he gets like a 30-save shutout against his
If
former
he's
team?
good tonight, you cannot
Oh,
convince
my
me you're
God.
playing Matt Murray on
Well, no.
Saturday night.
They'll play Matt Murray on Saturday night against his former team, 100%.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we
And you
We'll
also
talk
you
about
got to
it.
give
Do
him some games.
You,
gotta give him some
want to
games.
bail on
No,
Matt
no.
Murray
I don't
that
want to bail.
fast?
No, but you said that you're going to give these guys a chance to have the crease. And if one of them is better than the other, are you honest, or is Matt Murray the starter? Someone tried to call him about this in a newspaper.
Yeah. I did. And I just wonder now in terms of especially listening to Sheldon Keefe saying that he got hung out to dry. That one is totally on protecting
Yes.
Matt Murray.
It is. And they did this with Jack
And to
last year,
protect
too.
Matt Murray means that we're not living and dying by last night. And
And that's fair. They
and the
shouldn't.
thought and the quote from Kyle Dubas was, we're going to monitor them daily or, from moment to moment. No, you're not. You have to give this guy a legitimate shot here.
You do. You got to give him a legitimate shot. And in talking to goalie people about Murray, his performance last night, people said that, when a golfer tries to make a swing change and all of a sudden they're in contention in the back nine and there's a lot of pressure and they revert back to their old habits, right? The pressure comes
God,
and you
do I
fall
know
back
that
to your old
move.
habits. That was maybe Matt Murray last night.
What would you know about pressure?
You're in Montreal. Your first game is a Leaf. A scrutiny of Kyper and Bourne are watching. You need to be good. And you revert back to your old habits. There's a chance he goes back. He finds his whatever changes he's made. And last night wasn't the guy we're going to see. Maybe it's not the guy. Maybe he'll be better.
I have just the thing is I just don't have any idea what either of these goalies look like really when they're good. I can't even really remember what Jack. Oh my God.
Oh.
God.
There's a lot. We talked a lot about Jack last
Do
year.
you think
God.
Yeah,
boys.
just move on.
Samsonov's looking last night going, oh, yeah, here's my chance
For
right now
sure.
tonight.
Ilya had the evil
Yeah.
dented fingers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's looking like that.
Yeah.
And why not?
But I don't really remember what Matt Murray looked like when he was really good. I don't know what Samsonov, I don't know what I'm looking for. I feel very...
Marc-Andre Fleury win a couple of playoff rounds for
Remember
Pittsburgh
Matt
the year they
Murray
went to the
just
Cup?
locking it down for Pittsburgh?
I do. I watched
While
every game,
Marc-Andre
of course.
Fleury, future Hall of Famer, sitting on the bench.
I remember all that, but I don't I guess it's just, watch so much hockey and so many goalies, but I just want Samsonov to look capable tonight, please. I can't have both of them get 4 or 5 shot past him in the first 2 games. It's just not good for the psyche of anyone involved.
No, it's not.
Please
I
win.
agree.
Well, the good news is for the Leafs, I think they should thank the schedule maker here early because,
right back.
come on, 24 hours later, you get to just make people forget and maybe remember a solid 60 minutes
But
here.
here's the Leafs. The Leafs are going to be good tonight because this is what the Leafs do. It's going to be a tough game. You're on a back-to-back. The expectations are that it's going to be a challenging night. You're going to see a better Leafs team. They got a little public slap. This is everything that is built towards when you get a good performance from the Leafs. Sort of a public shaming, a little bit of an embarrassment, a good team. Yes, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that on
I
air.
got in trouble for it.
Oh, you
So
can't say getting a slap on
something
the
whack.
wrist. Yeah.
Did you really?
No,
I said it, and I got a text.
But
So,
anyway,
got a
so
little-
You did.
I did say
Okay.
it,
all
every
right.
time that
That's
happens,
fair.
the Leafs come out and boy, we get a solid showing from the Leafs. So I would bank on a solid showing from the Leafs tonight. Risky.
Playing
Very
against the
risky.
Risky thing to say.
Playing against the Washington Capitals tonight, Carl Alzner will join us in the second hour. Jamal Mayer's on board in another 10 minutes to break down what he saw last night out of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Washington coming off, I think. I didn't watch it, so I'm not sure.
Looks like Boston handed them their lunch.
How bad it was, but at home against a Boston Bruin team that's supposed to be a lot weaker without McAvoy and Marchand.
Bergeron scores. Krejci's got a
Bing,
goal
bing.
and
No.
2 assists.
How about Pasternak?
Bing. I'm like, oh, great. I thought these guys sucked.
That guy's going to be owed, $12 million a
He's
year
going
at
to
least.
be rich.
How good is he, Pasternak?
We love Pasternak in the show, don't we? Which
But-
I always
probably
look
makes
at
you
Willie
hate us.
Nylander and
But-
just say,
I know you
No,
do. Move
listen.
on from
be
that.
a poor Pasternak.
Listen,
That would be really good, too.
if this was real Kyper and Bourne in Boston, you'd be crapping on Pasternak every day for his lazy plays, and you'd be like, he's a
his
poor man.
showboat with his
You know what
sunglasses.
that Pasternak could be? He could be like, if he could be like Willie Nylander in
If he
Toronto.
would just wear a nice normal suit and not come looking like a joker. Yeah, for sure.
The one thing that I did notice that the Leafs just don't look big. And I like Malgin and Obey Kubel.
Yeah.
I don't know how big. I don't know how tall he is. He might be pretty solid on his feet.
Yeah.
But they just didn't look big. And now we're watching them against the Washington Capitals tonight, and they got this protest. They got Strome and they got Mantha on one line, and these guys are big boys.
Yeah, Mantha's butter soft. He's big.
He's a big guy.
He is.
He's a big guy. I don't know if there's a part of me that was a little disappointed in. I thought we'd see more of a presence physically.
That fourth line.
Without the Wayne Simmons talk or actually dropping gloves.
Yeah.
But
the
I
fourth
just
line
didn't-
for the
I
Leafs
didn't
got
see it.
filled in last night. I think they were on for, 8, 9, 10 shots against, 1 or 2 for, played in their own zone a lot. Had one good shift where they took it the other way and drew a penalty. But
They finished some checks, those guys.
Sure.
I didn't see a lot of other Leafs finishing anything at all.
I actually like
okay.
David Camp now that we're talking about him. But yeah, no,
I
you're right, though, Nick. I don't disagree.
How many guys had 0 or 1 hits last night for the Toronto Maple Leafs? And I know maybe it's some old fart, keeping track. I don't know.
But Zach Aston-Reese had the most on the team. He had 4 hits, and Ave Kubel had 3. After that, no one else had more than 1 hit. Oh, Tavares had 2, actually. And then on the D-Corps, wasn't at 4.
Who had no hits? Who got credited with a goose egg in hits last night?
Riley, Giordano, Hall, Nylander, Kampf, Malgin, Engvall, Yarncroc, Marner, Kerfoot.
Oh, my God, that's a lot.
How many minutes did Hall play?
Justin Hall played 20 minutes.
He didn't have a hit.
He didn't get registered a hit.
No, he didn't.
Oh, my God.
He got hit a lot.
Oh, yeah, he does get hit a lot. So
How
does
do you not get credited a hit?
Most shorthanded time on ice in the team by a good distance.
All right, we got to take a break.
We do.
We got to take a break.
Did you hate Malgin last night? I didn't mind
I
him.
didn't hate him.
Yeah, he
Mine.
skated the puck through the neutral
He's
zone well.
fine.
I agree.
He's
Maybe not a
fine.
second-line player,
He
but
had
he's
a
okay.
breakaway. He got a goal. But is there anything I saw out of Malgin that goes, I want that guy in the trenches.
Talk
and
about ahead of the play.
I want that guy in the trenches in a best of 7.
You know,
I can win with that guy.
The breakaway he got was a great example of what I didn't like about the Leafs last night. He's on the wrong side of that, stretching for a play, and he gets a lucky bounce. The puck goes through that Montreal defender 90 times out of 91. Really random numbers.
I was going to say,
I changed my
no,
mind.
99 out of 100, you could have gone right there, Mark.
That's the one I want. It goes the other way, and he's on the wrong side.
Just the goal itself, where it's a solid rush. You're coming through the neutral zone. Willie's flying, shot
Stops
on
in front of the
goal.
net.
I think it was Nick Suzuki that did the flyby a little bit off of Malgin to leave him alone, and just the tap in shovel. Where are those goals in the playoffs?
Craig Simpson was awesome. He was like, what did he say, Sammy?
Good credit for him for not flying by.
Yeah, he was like, credit to him for not flying by and shooting the puck in the open net. It's like, that's all Malgin did. He stopped where he should stop. It was great.
I don't see
Points.
those. I don't see those goals in April, May, and June.
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Jamal is coming up after the show. We'll get into more on the Leafs, Montreal, and what can be expected out of Washington tonight. You're listening and watching on YouTube, Real Kyper and Bourne.
This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Toronto Maple Leafs lose their opener 4-3 to the Montreal Canadiens. The good news is, hey, 24 hours later, get another crack at it.
Yep.
Joining us now, a guy that sometimes looked forward to the next 24 hours. Hey, Merzy. Jamal Mers, everybody. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
You like those 24-hour later games when you laid an egg?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a chance to remedy, and you can kind of throw that game in the garbage and start fresh and just act like this was the first game of the year.
Any concerns? Yeah, there are people that saying, come on, it's just one game, and they were slow starters last year. Or can you read more into it? Because Justin and I just spent the last 40 minutes going, and another thing we didn't like.
I'm with you. I don't know if I like their D. I hate to say it. I mean, you look at teams that make it and win Stanley Cups, they've got 3 horses. And, I'm sorry. I'm not sure they have 3. They might have 2. And so it just concerns me. The back end concerns me a lot. And, they're putting all their eggs in one basket with what they decided to do in goal. And, that's yet to be determined as well.
What are your thoughts on their new look fourth line? They don't have anyone who's really a fighter, but they have some guys who are supposed to run into people, whether it's Abe Kubel or Aston Reese. Camp does his job a little bit. Not overly impactful, but do you like that change they've made from previous seasons, having Spezza and more offensive and really fightery types there?
I really do like it. They're bigger guys that can play with pace. They can also kill penalties, eat up some minutes. They're not supposed to chip in offensively. They're just supposed to wear down the other team and eat up some minutes and get starts in the offensive zone. I think that that's one thing I really do like about the changes. It stinks because you like those people that they're replacing, but I think that the game tends to follow trends, and the last 3 years, teams that have won have had lines exactly like this line, and I really, really do like it.
Jamal, we saw them waive Wayne Simmons. My understanding is he's skating with some of the guys at the MasterCard Arena, and he has not reported to the Marlies. Not sure if he will. But would you have kept him around just in case you needed him to go out there and maybe talk to a few people that might be potentially taking liberties on star players, or are the Leafs far past that now?
That's a tough one. I think that, there's something to be said about having a person like that around. I think that the Rangers have shown that it works. But you have to be able to play, and if they've made the determination that he can't play, or they don't think he can play, or they don't want him to play in their fourth line, they're reconfiguring it, then that's the philosophical choice they're making. Having said that, that's also a choice that you hope that no one is running around, taking liberties on your better players. So time will tell. But I know that I don't know Wayne personally, but by all accounts, he's a quality person, has had an amazing career. Obviously still believes he has some hockey left and is healthy. And hopefully he ends up playing somewhere this year.
Jamal, whose job is it to get that team ready to play in Montreal last night? Like Kyper was saying off the top that, Sheldon just got to know for this group. He's got to know that this is a trend that they kind of, let down their guard against lesser teams. I was saying the players, where do you fall on the line for whose job it is to have that team ready to go last night?
Well, if this is a team with designs to win Stanley Cups, those teams do it themselves. It's not the coach. It's the players. And, I don't know the room as intimately as you guys do, but, Kyper knows this. You need friction. You need guys who ruffle feathers, who shake the tree, who get under people's skin. And I'm talking about your own teammates. It doesn't always have to be nice. And you can get on people. And that uncomfortableness is what allows teams to grow. And unfortunately, it's the truth, is that you need some of that, not nice people around sometimes to call people out, to get people playing the right way. And, I think it's very important. Any team that I've been on that's had success, that's won, you have some of that. You have people like that aren't afraid to speak up. And I think that honesty is needed in winning teams.
We're talking to Jamal Maris. He's got 915 NHL games behind him when he speaks of that. And that may be the biggest concern I also have last night, to your point, is that it just didn't appear that there was anyone on the Toronto Maple Leafs willing to pull themselves and their teammates into that fight that you're talking about.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because I'll give you an example. You look at the Edmonton Oilers, and I forget who it was, but someone took a pretty, what was deemed a careless penalty at the end of, I believe, the first period.
Darnell Nurse.
And I remember watching it going, and people were saying that was a silly penalty or a stupid penalty. And I'm like,
Elliot
that's
Friedman.
exactly what they needed. That's exactly what they needed.
You went against Elliot Friedman?
Anthony Stewart said that too. He agreed with you, Jamal.
So, you know what? They're about to lose the hockey game. So you like that. You like that emotion. And you'll kill those penalties all day long. And he did it on purpose to get the attention of his team so that they can have an emotional attachment to the hockey game, and things turned around because of that. Having the temperature of the room, having the temperature of what's going on is important. And the reality is that they needed to do that. And that's something that I'm sure Darnell had to grow into as a leader. But Kyper, I'm telling you, without that, I don't think they win that hockey game.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent point that you just brought up. I think I watched Obey Kubel go through the crease probably with about 13 minutes left in the hockey game. Didn't he cut in hard on Jake Allen last night? And I'm like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you like that.
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't really lead to anything, but maybe in the first period or a little bit more of a push that suggests that I'm willing to get my nose dirty here and who else is with me, and follow that up with another, borderline or edgy type of situation. But there was no emotion, to your point, off of Darnell Nurse's penalty. There just never was any emotional attachment to the Leafs last night against Montreal in a season opener. I found that baffling.
Yeah, I would even argue that it's not Darnell Nurse's job. It's guys like you and me. That's our job. It's our job, fourth-line guys, third-line guys. It's their job to figure it out in the first 5 minutes that we don't have it. This isn't good. This isn't good enough. We got to go out there and do something to get our teammates' attention. And then when we do, we can go down the line and look down. Is anybody else going to be playing tonight, or what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
And those things, and we both played with guys that would do that with 5 minutes left. Give me a break. I don't care if you did it with 5 minutes left. Do it in the first period when we needed it. Like, do it when we still have a chance to win this hockey game.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that they were surprised by Montreal on opening night, that's unacceptable. I put it on the players, some of it on the coaches too, but I put it on the players to not let these things happen. Like, this team is not getting to the next level if they don't have that authentic, honest, real conversation where they're willing to have some friction in the room. And it's not out there fighting each other. It's just accountability to each other and a standard that you set as a group.
What's interesting, Mersey, is like in hearing you talk about that and looking at the Leafs lineup, like you can see a scenario where this team could be not fun to play if they're really good and their power play's clicking and you're chasing them all around. But if you're in a close game with that, they could be a fun team to play, right? I mean, there's not a lot of angry people, not a lot of mean people. It's a good hockey team. But do you think it's a problem? Do you think you need to have some ill temperament somewhere in the lineup?
Well, every team has to have a catalyst that pulls you into the fight, right? Whether it's one of your better players, and I believe that Landeskog does that for Colorado. He'll pull the team into the fight. It's not about fighting. Don't get me wrong. Has nothing to do with fighting. It has to do with, who was a good guy at doing this? Was Doug Weight. And
Really?
Doug Weight would, when we weren't playing well, would go around and hit guys. And I remember thinking, like, what is he doing? Well, he recognized, like, we weren't playing well. He was upset. So he was going to run around a little bit for a couple of shifts. And then I'll tell you what happened. It got the attention of our entire team because they're like, what is he doing? He's going to get hurt. That's our job.
Yeah.
And so there's something to be said for, it has nothing to do with fighting. It has to do exactly what you're talking about, is being emotionally invested into the hockey game and pulling people into the fight when they don't feel like it, for whatever reason.
You got
to have guys.
Yeah, who does that through some real heavy hits is a guy that the Leafs are going to see tonight, Ovechkin.
Yeah.
That guy
Yes.
hits.
Yeah.
I think last night we went just through the list of guys that have had registered no hits or just one last night for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think, what was it, 10, 12?
Yeah.
Over half the team had collectively 3 hits. Ovi last night on a loss, a very disappointing loss at home for the Washington Capitals, had 9.
Wow, did he really?
9 registered.
Wow.
And when he hits, I can tell you it's a lot different than when anyone on the fourth line hits for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But
Yeah.
that's a superstar.
That's arguably the best goal scorer ever.
Right.
And that understands the emotional commitment that it takes. And honestly, I honestly believe that the emotional catalyst for this group has to be Matthews. I think he's shown signs of that. And so now listen, you don't want him running around and getting hurt, but it would only take one shift of him going, he's a big guy, you'd be fine. It would only take 2 shifts of him unhappy with the team and running around, then everybody like, what's he doing? Why's he doing that? Well, why is he doing that? Because you guys are sleeping. So that to me is a guy that could do it. And I think he has it in him. I really do. But they need someone that will, the game's changed, right? You're not going to have guys. It's hard, right? They had to make a decision. Do we go with, if you had a guy who could skate and score 20 goals and fights and does all those things, he wouldn't be on your fourth line. You couldn't afford him. Those guys don't exist anymore. So the fourth line isn't going to be able to go out there and do that, but you got to get guys that are emotionally involved. And I believe the fourth line has to be engaged in that process as well and take it on themselves to understand the temperature of the team every single night, right away.
Marzi, we got to let you go. I know you got something at 4:00, so we're going to let you go. But you are first start in today's show with a couple of great points. I want you to know that. I'm second. Well, Justin's third.
I look forward to arguing.
I love listening to you guys.
Okay,
Thanks
buddy.
for having me on.
Thanks, Marzi.
Come on, Marzi. I'm all over his point on Darnell Nurse waking up the Edmonton Oilers.
And Austin Matthews not running into enough people.
Well,
he had 3 hits.
No, I don't think. I think there's somewhere between what Darnell did for the Edmonton Oilers and what Marzi's saying that Austin should be capable of.
Yeah.
Like, no way in a million years is it going to be Mitch Marner.
No.
But at 6'2", maybe 235, 240, Austin would have the ability to use his body in a big presence if need be. Malkin, we've watched Malkin over the years. There's some nights in his great Hall of Fame years, he got nasty.
Yeah. Well, see, this is an interesting thing, though. I feel like this. I think Mares makes an interesting point about the Leafs lineup and maybe not having the guys who drag you into it. It's a nice team. Like we always talk, the frustration with Nylander is he has all this ability. What if he were, and then you say something he's not, engaged all the time or physical, or like he played for Sweden in the World Championships over a 6-game sample, but he's not those things naturally, and he has to make himself be physical and engaged and yada, yada. Austin Matthews can be this physical hitting guy, but it's not natural to him. That's not his default setting, is shooting in the net in Switzerland. And he's growing into his body, but he's not a nasty person. I don't think that the Leafs naturally, they can make themselves play a certain way. Maybe last night's game will be like a defibrillator for the collective, heart of the team. Give them a little jump that, for us to be competitive, we got to get in that fight.
Just leave him alone and let him score 60, Sammy.
It's something I've talked about a million times on this radio station, but the matchup between the way that this team plays versus the fan base is one of the biggest mismatches in the history of sports in terms of what this fan base, what the sort of blue-collar fan base of this team likes. And they like a physical team. They like Hart. They like Darcy Tucker. They like Wendell Clark, Doug Gilmour, guys that'll, cut your throat out to play hockey. And then you match it up with this team, and that's what it is. It terrifies me that being a you-know-what on the ice.
So talented, though.
Amazing. Enjoyable to watch. But being a you-know-what on the ice does not come natural to any of their big four stars. And like you talk about Malkin. Malkin, when he was on, was one of the meanest dudes. Cut your heart, do anything to you to win a game. Sid's the same way. You look at Ovi, like you talk about Ovi.
McKinnon's the same
McKinnon's the same way. Like you look at
Actually,
guys,
Connor McDavid's the
Connor
same way.
McDavid. You look at a lot of the guys, and it just like you think of Tavares, and it's like Tavares is this like understated
He's
kind
a
of
hockey guy. He'll do whatever to win, but limited to hockey-related things and not.
You look at Marner. Marner's
punching in
not.
the net.
He's a smaller guy, but like he's a competitor. He tries it. He's an energizer guy, always going. Everybody's not nasty. It's just it doesn't come natural to any.
And I
of
don't
the
know that
stars.
this is all hyper relevant to
last
exactly
night.
last night, but it is a fair
It's a
point. about the
conversation
team
we've
at
had
large.
forever.
So I don't know. I don't know what the Florida Panthers are going to look like this year, if they're even going to come close to what they did last year.
But they want to be more of this and less
But
of that.
they addressed it. They said,
let's get worse and get meaner.
yeah,
They did.
They actually did.
100% they did.
Matthew Tkachuk. Was there anybody out there that could fit what they're looking for in a top 6 guy who can score some amazing goals and bring that nastiness? They went out there and they got one of the best at it the last few years.
Yeah. It's a case study in how you want to address these issues where Kyle
I
Dubas
don't
said,
know.
if we run this team back enough, we're too good to not get through. And Florida said, it didn't work once. Blow it up. Send everyone out. What do they want? Huberdeau? Throw in Uyghur. Get him out of here.
If they would have gone
Give him
on,
it first.
if they would have taken the Shanna plan, Matthew Tkachuk would have ended up in Florida 6 years from now.
Yeah. No, he would not be there. It is really fascinating that they decided to get so aggressive as a response to getting swept by the Tampa Bay Lightning. I do think that part of it was what we're talking about. They felt they needed more of something playoff, more Lomberg and Hornqvist and less Huberdeau and Uyghur. Uyghur's
And,
Jake Gardner, as we mentioned.
And Kyle's Leafs
True, they did let
and
Marchand go.
Kyle's Leafs are going to beat you with just pure. His top 4 are going to beat you on their skill.
Logic and practicality. The whole team is has a role and they have a job and they will do it well.
I am fascinated by watching Matthew Tkachuk this year because certainly the contract that followed it would put enough pressure on him, but he has to physically change the makeup of games for the Florida Panthers, particularly when they go against Tampa. So where is that fine line now to go out there, hit, fight, and score? It's not going to be easy for him.
No, but let's not forget, he didn't do it in the playoffs against Edmonton.
He was quiet.
He just kind of went sleepy into the night. I don't know if he intended to leave Calgary, and that was.
But like there was most nights he was pretty much invisible. He scored a hat trick in the first game, right, when they won 9-6.
Yeah.
And then I don't think he had a goal after that. Like, he
Was it
pretty-
Matthew Tkachuk that Daryl Sutter was talking about with the difference between Toffoli and
Yeah.
him?
Tkachuk?
They won 2 cups.
That's what he said about Toffoli. Yeah. One guy's won 2 cups.
Yeah. Yeah.
He also said that Huberdeau is the best passer he's ever had on the Flames, which is like a Gaudreau direct comment. Like Johnny Gaudreau just like led the league in assists or whatever he did last year, damn near close. I look at this Florida lineup. There's a chance this team's not great. I mean, Rudolph, Spalsers, and Colin White, and Lomberg, and Cousins, and Hornqvist, and Mark Stahl, Montour, Mahura, Gudis. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know. All I know is it's going to be fun to watch Matthew Tkachuk try to
It is.
single-handedly change the makeup,
they are.
the physical makeup of the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
And he will try. Don't rest assured. This guy, he knows what he's supposed to do off of this trade.
Yeah.
So just to go back to what you guys are talking about with Dubas and talking about just his team and what he wants him to do, like I'm sure a big part of him doesn't like last night where there's times where they don't look like they're engaged, but I'm sure he knows that they're good enough. He doesn't really care that they're not necessarily running into people, hitting people, fighting people. Like that part of it doesn't necessarily go into the equation for him, right? Like
No, there's no chance
like, he
today they're like, we need more. There's absolutely not even a comment in the room about
they don't
that.
even think about that. So like I think
Yeah,
they
today-
know they know they're good enough,
But
and they know that some nights their bottom 6 isn't going to be the most, it's not going to appear a lot. And I don't think they necessarily care that they don't fight and hit. That they just have a bit of a ghost bottom 6 here.
They
here and
could
there.
by game 30 or
Yeah,
40 or
I agree.
50
They could
or
be a
going
zoom-out
into the
moment.
trade deadline. They already waffled on a few between their philosophy on a fourth line.
Mm-hmm.
They've done it. How many times have they done it? 4 or 5 times now?
The problem is this is not a problem that can be solved with a player. You can't go get Ryan Reeves and be like, fixed it. They had went and got Matt Martin, didn't fix it. This is a thing that is a collective thing with your team about personalities. And, do you have these guys that inherently play a certain way? And, what's the expression? Better to tame a tiger than paint stripes on a pussycat. You ever heard that expression?
I have not heard.
Yeah, like you're
yes,
better
of
to have a
course.
guy like Kadri and Tkachuk who you've got to calm down from
Yes.
being too much than have to take a guy like Nylander and prod him with an iron stick to get him angry.
How do you get a guy like Kadri?
Oh, man.
Anyways,
Well, it's not as bad as giving them away for
for Broussard,
Zibanejad.
Yeah, it's not. It's really not. But it's crazy how quickly you just feel like you go into must-win mode in a hockey season. It's the second game of the year. I'm like, if they lose tonight,
on the way here, I did them actually pulled out my calculator app. Last night's game was 1.22% of the season. 1.2% of the season last night. That's,
And almost full panic.
I know. We were like, trade the coach. You got to get
Okay,
tougher.
let's take a deep breath and take a break. Carl Alsner, former NHLer, co-host of All's Caps. Following the Washington Capitals, he's going to tee this hockey club up tonight and what Leaf fans can expect as the Leafs try to rectify their mistake last night in the season opener. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, back to you after these messages.
From the City News.
This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Toronto Maple Leafs getting set for their home opener tonight against the Washington Capitals. Let's welcome in Carl Alsner, former NHLer. Oh, we don't have him yet. What has Sammy been doing this whole time?
He's chatting him up. This is the thing. You got to have a little chit-chat
Sammy
before.
went on his honeymoon last week. He's still not in game shape.
Still on his honeymoon, you think? His wife, his fiance,
not true.
wouldn't have made him do that. Sammy's sticking
Quart
up for
of
himself.
milk, eggs. What else, honey?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a chit-chat thing.
All right, we're
We'll
gonna
talk
find
Caps.
we'll find Carl momentarily, but in the meantime, they come in a loss last night to the Boston Bruins at home. If we look at a few teams in the National Hockey League, teams that aren't ready quite to let go of their recent past, their recent success, Boston Bruins come to mind. Penguins. And the Washington
Blues?
Capitals. Okay, Blues.
Yeah. Of teams that just like have a good core, have the same core when they won, and they're trying to find ways to fill in around it and keep it great, I should say.
As promised, Carl's joining us now. Carl, hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. Carl and I spent some time together last week with a alumni with the Washington Capitals. It was a great few days. I got a chance to see the team and know that Carl, there's a part of them that still believe that the core is wrapped around Ovechkin and they can still win with him at age 37, going into his 18th season.
Yeah. You know what? I think they can still be successful with him for sure. But to put it all on his shoulders to carry the team, that's pretty tough. It's a tough ask for anybody. I don't think there's many players in the league that can be just the one go-to. But they still have a decent core. But the league is all about young players now, right? You got to have new young guns coming in every year, draft picks that turn into something pretty special in their first couple of years on the team. Look at Cale Makar. So you need players like that can come in and make a substantial impact. So, the core is definitely aging, but still good players. Still can do things out there. But yeah, it's tough to put it on one guy.
Carl, as the Leafs fans prep for the Washington Capitals coming to town, maybe you can give us a little state of the franchise for them right now, where they're at and their expectations are at. We were talking before you came on just about a team that still sees themselves as Stanley Cup contenders. What are some of the challenges that lie ahead for this Capitals team this season?
Well, I think just based off of last night, a little bit of defensive play. That there's players that can score up front and they can do a good job offensively, and then bringing Kemper in obviously helps them put them in positions to win games, having a goaltender like that. But overall, team defense is something that needs to be a big point for the team if they want to have any success. Everybody can score goals now, it seems like, so you have to be able to also lock it down, and that seemed to be a bit of an issue, at least for the first half of the game yesterday. So, that would be something that I've noticed so far. And then there's, the Caps they try to retool on the fly, right? They don't want to completely break anything down, so they are trying to, bring guys in. They brought a bunch of guys in this summer that are going to have to find a way into the team and mesh quickly, especially while they're waiting on two of their biggest pieces to come back, in Tom Wilson and Nick Backstrom, even if Backy can make it back at all after a pretty substantial issue that he's had going on. So, it's going to be tough, but, they're a pretty resilient bunch, and the organization is willing to do pretty much whatever it takes to continue to be successful.
We're joined by Carl Alzner, co-host of All's Caps, the podcast. Defense starts from the net on out. Very seldom you see a Stanley Cup championship team let go of their goalie and see him on another team, but that's what's going on with Kemper. And how's that been so far? And is it the improvement that they're going to need coming off of last season?
You're right. It is pretty strange to see that. It's also strange to see head coach leave after a team wins a Stanley Cup, but the Caps seem to be a part of those weird transitions. But I think it's great. This was the talk around the team all year last year, and pretty much all year the year before was goaltending. And who do they go with? Who do they trust? Who's the number one? And it was back and forth all the time. And so this solidifies that. Having Kemper in there, and then having Charlie Lindgren as the backup, who is an amazing, amazing person. I think everybody's started to realize that already in a short time being here. It seems like the goalie tandem has a pretty good relationship, which I think is also very helpful. But Kemper just solidifies the net for them, right? They don't have to worry about who's going in every game. They kind of know what to expect, which is really nice as a player, as a team, because you don't have to worry about, but you shouldn't have to worry about the guy's head and are they playing for their job all the time and this and that, what they've had to kind of deal with Samsonov and Vanacek the last couple of years. So I think it's a great move. There's a big body in there too, which is always really nice. Even when you're having bad days, you can rely on whatever it is, a 6'4", 6'5" frame just to hopefully have pucks hit you every now and then. So I think it was a huge move, and a pretty fortunate one too, to have someone with that experience be able to come right into your team is I think pretty lucky.
So you mentioned last season it was kind of like you didn't know whose crease it was and worrying about guys' heads and all that sort of thing. Well, that's what Toronto is this year, and it's with the guy who was there last year, in Ilia Samsonov. What was his reputation? What was the story around him in Washington last year?
So people were really pulling for him. I think everyone saw the skill as so many of these Russian goalies have. It it's maybe not a word that you typically associate with a goalie is skill, but that's kind of what they have. Good skating, good instincts, raw talent right there, and just being able to do it consistently was an issue. There was some issues with they had COVID. All the Russian guys had COVID, and then also, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but being a young guy in the league, sometimes you can, the extracurriculars can kind of get in the way, and the lights and all that stuff kind of can be tough. Trying to feel your way through the league, playing and having fun and all that at the same time, and then battling for your job and not knowing when you're the starter. So I think he had a lot to deal with, but it seemed like the organization was kind of pulling for him to be the starting guy, and then he'd take the reins for a few games, and then something would happen, and then when you have another goalie that's also vying for that spot, this is where it becomes tough. Is he would come in for 3 games, play pretty good, and then have one tough game, and the next thing you know, he's out for the next 3 games because they're going to ride the hot hand of Vanacek. So it's just a hard spot to be in for any position, and he kind of got caught up in that. So I think if he gets the opportunity to play more consistent, and there's obviously tons of pressure in Toronto, but not having to worry so much about your job being taken away, I think could really help him. And then trying to stay healthy. That's a dagger for a goalie if you're always dealing with some things. And he had a few nagging injuries that seem to crop up. So that's I guess it's a lot to deal with there, a lot to figure out. But like I said, he's got the skill to be able to be a really good goalie.
Carl, I'm not sure you painted a very good picture for Leaf fans, because I think he's going to maybe experience the same thing he experienced in Washington, where he might go on a run and play 3 games and then have Murray come in, and he might sit for a week, 10 days. I mean, is there a sense now at age 25 or 26 he can figure out ultimately what he's going to be? Because there's some goalies we've seen in this league, Carl, they don't figure it out till they're 27, 28, 29. Markstrom comes to mind for me, and even Jack Campbell out in Edmonton here. I mean, were you surprised that Washington gave up on him so quickly at age 25?
A little bit. I think so. Everyone here expected them to keep one, right? Keep which one is it going to be, and didn't know which way they were going to go. And it was probably going to be whoever would get the best return, and then all of a sudden both of them left. So it was strange for sure, and he may be in that position, but you kind of have to figure out, can you be the guy? You can't wait much longer, especially as a European player, especially a Russian guy. They have options to go back home, and if things don't work out for them, sometimes they just decide, maybe the grass is greener back home, and they make a decision like that, and hopefully that's not the case. That he does that, but it kind of has to happen fairly soon. Otherwise, teams will look for someone else, right? You all of a sudden have a track record, and then it becomes pretty difficult to break out of that. So for his sake and for Leafs fan sake, I hope that he can, because I do think he's a good goalie. And there's times when he was the savior here after a couple games, and it's just whether or not you can continue to back it up. Those are the players that have longevity, is the ones that can be consistent, and I don't think anyone needs to be more consistent than a goalie.
Carl, one thing we like to do, sometimes, the old expression, you can't see the forest for the trees. We're in this Leafs talk every day. It's fun to get an impression from an outside market. What are your thoughts on what the Toronto Maple Leafs have been and the team they've got this season?
Well, I mean, the Leafs have been the team that everyone's just waiting for to absolutely break out and explode, right? I don't see it any different than I think most of you guys see it. Is there's so much there, and I've compared them to the Caps a bunch over the years, where they're right there, but there's a mental block, and I don't think there's any bigger mental block right now than with the Toronto Maple Leafs in that first round. It's been so hard for them to find a way to get out of it, and I'm one of the believers that once they do, they're going to be able to make a pretty good run. With players of that caliber, obviously talking about the Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Riley, them, that they can almost take over a playoff. If they decide, if they can smell blood, I think that they're going to be able to take it over. And really do something. But at that point, it just really seems like a mental hurdle. And even when you bring in new players, it still finds a way to creep into their heads as well. So that's the way I see the team. But believe it or not, I am rooting for the Leafs. I grew up a Leafs fan, so I would love to see them be successful, because not only is it good for the league, there's a pretty big fan base that I think would really love to latch on to that bandwagon and see what happens.
One more, Carl. Sometimes hindsight's 20/20 in this Leaf market. A lot of fans went through that with Kadri winning a cup. To a lesser extent, some suggested that the Leafs should have kept Connor Brown and his long-term contract at that time a reasonable price. Not often you can pick up a guy for a second-round pick and then find him on the top line playing with one of the best goal scorers in history, but that's where Connor Brown will find himself tonight.
Exactly, and I've been pushing him pretty hard since the Caps got him. I think he is a great addition, got a really, really nice skill set and some pretty good intensity. I love a good penalty killer as well. Someone that can be dangerous 5-on-4 or 4-on-5, whichever way you want to say it. And I think he's that. Being put on the first line with those guys, is there a better situation? I don't really know. It's pretty fortunate, and time will tell where he will end up once everyone's healthy and they figure out what their best combos are, because they do have players that have played up and down. Connor Sherry's been kind of, I think he was on the fourth line yesterday or wherever he was, but he also plays on the top line. So it's going to shift for sure. But, if he can take advantage of his opportunity with those two, and Ovi and Kuzi like playing with him, then he could be in store for a heck of a season, because when those guys like you on their line, then you find tons of success. So I'm hoping that he's going to be the case for the team, that he'll fill in for Tom while he's out, and then once Tom comes back, you're going to have a pretty good 1-2 punch of players on the right side.
Carl, we really appreciate your time. I know you got to get out of here, but thanks for doing this, and look forward to many visits on the Real Kyper and Bourne show out of you. Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much.
Carl Alsner, former Capital.
Connor Brown, top line. Connor Brown's a guy you loved having your third line. I don't know if you want Connor Brown.
No, totally. I'm with you. A guy that can slide up if you needed him to slide up. Do we think you're going to win a championship ultimately as Connor Brown is a number one winger?
Right.
Probably not.
But you're right. You love that you have a guy that can capably do it for a number of weeks.
Can he hold, let's face it, Tom Wilson, he's irreplaceable.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of shifting here and there, but you ain't filling in for Tom Wilson. Nobody is. I'd
love to envision the entire NHL, all the players' names get put in the middle, and all the GMs get to pick one player at a time. Just a draft of all the players starting from scratch. How early Tom Wilson would go, because it would frighten people how early it would be.
It would be shockwaves.
Shockwaves. He might be a first or second round guy.
God, love that guy.
That's a lot, but
I think second round.
So he probably goes in the second round.
It's like the Yankees trying to replace Aaron Judd.
Yeah.
It's just no. I'm sorry.
No, there's no other people do that.
No.
I'm really excited to watch the Washington Capitals play the Leafs tonight and not have to worry about goddamn Tom Wilson.
It makes it a much more manageable.
It's such a load on your mind as a Leaf fan when you just know that he's always fired up to play the Leafs. He grew up and played North Toronto Arena, loves the Leafs.
And with no Simmons, no Clifford, no one to stop him.
Gonna run around like an idiot, and I love him for it because he's one of my favorite players in the league. But it's just a real load off my mind that I don't have to worry about him tonight.
Do we remember what Connor Brown left for? It was the
salary cap reasons.
I know that, but what was the return?
I think traded him with Zaitsev.
They got rid of Zaitsev.
They traded him
trading
with Zaitsev.
Yes,
in the dump of the contracts because, and with wasn't it? The Phaneuf was a other contract.
No, it was
that was it. It was just a dump of Connor Brown.
No, they got Cody Ceci back.
Okay, yeah, there you go. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, Connor Brown is that perfect guy, depth guy. Could you have avoided maybe going through the the Kashas, the Blackwells, the Mulligans now, if you had a guy like that in the lineup. But
Yeah.
I know it's the math.
Yeah.
What's he making now?
Well, I don't know. He's only making 2.5
Let me look it up right
here
now.
or something.
Oh, please tell me he's
I
more
think-
expensive than that.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's in the high 3s now.
And he's got he's looking for he's UFA after this year. So if
He signed a 3-year, $10.8 million contract.
okay, so he's up
In 2021.
a
So
little
he-
north of 3.
This is last season at 3.6.
So he would have definitely outpriced himself here probably, but
Hey, making Kerfoot money. I mean, just saying, you'd take him over Kerfoot, wouldn't you?
yeah, I would.
Yeah, it's close. Kerfoot, but people like to crap on Kerfoot, and I know
He's
not.
become a nice player.
He's a valuable player to the Leafs.
Yes.
You know what? Connor Brown. So this very
God, he's
thing.
not. He's
this
just, his
is-
hands are just so stony. Kerfoot.
Brown?
No, Kerfoot.
Well-
on that shootout, that penalty shot last night, I said it. I was like, he's just gonna beat this
He
into
has-
the pads.
We've seen him in the shootout have success, have we not?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't remember. Here's the thing about Brown, though. We're talking about the team having like this like pulse and energy and pull you into the fight and whatever.
Yeah.
Brown's competitive.
He's that guy.
really competitive, right? He scored the game winner at the World Championships. Like he's just a
And
competitor.
he was a top scoring junior
Yeah, didn't he had like 130 points or something in the
Playing with
with
McDavid. I
helps,
understand that, but
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
playing with
Connor.
Ovechkin tonight. Another coach has deemed him pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, like anyway, it's kind of a pointless thing to rehash. I'm sure there's some
It was funny listening to Carl talk about Samsonov and not being able to find rhythm of being in and out or going through stretches
having
of
trouble
either
finding
playing
consistency coming here
or
Ooh.
not playing.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I'd heard all along was he just loses his focus.
Yeah. Yeah, we seem to be some vaguely implied lack of on ice focus things here. But, you know, I do think that there is
Just 25 though.
But that's the thing. Like, I mean, I was a joke of a human at 25. Joke.
Yeah, you've matured a little bit, I think, since then.
10%.
You're not as much of a joke
No,
anymore.
I'm a pun at best at this point. No, it's true. It takes some time.
first round pick,
Who's that?
Samsonov, big Russian goalie.
Yeah.
I like the bet big time on him. I really do,
The Russians on that team party a little bit.
for sure.
Fun crew.
Oh yeah, wouldn't mind hanging out with those
No.
boys for a night.
All right. Season opener, Connor McDavid, the hat trick,
God.
a 4-point night.
That Draisaitl pass on the McDavid goal on the power play out of the slot to the backside.
Pretty much a continuation of Connor and Draisaitl show
Can
carrying on in
McDavid's
Edmonton.
getting 50 this year.
Can I ask you guys a favor, please?
Yeah.
If at all this year, and you too, Derek, maybe get like a sounder, like a Dumbo drop. If I ever try to say that Matthews is better than McDavid again this year, like I did last year, get the Dumbo drop. Tell me I'm an idiot. Say I'm wrong because
you
I
should
did it.
record something right now where you're like, I recognize that McDavid is and will
Well,
always
they're
be
just-
better.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
They are different players.
Yes, one is a mutant who's the greatest maybe of all time, and one is really, really, really good.
There's no comparison in the ability to dangle like
Yeah.
Connor.
Well, just doing what he does at that speed makes the whole defense get out of shape, right? Because it's always back off. It's McDavid. Like everyone on the ice has to adapt for McDavid. Matthews can do what he does, right? Hart Trophy last year, shooting it in the net and powerful and all that.
Last night on the home opener on Sportsnet, we listened to an interview Elliot Friedman had with his spray tan and all.
Spray tan.
It wasn't even him that did the
honest to
interview.
God, he looked like an Oscar award.
Who did?
Elliot with that he had a fake spray
I'm not-
tan on.
I do not endorse this message.
He interviewed Leon, and Leon said he's encouraging 60 goals out of Connor.
Really?
Yes, he's endorsing that you should score 60 goals every year.
Love that. I love that. And I called it preseason that this would be a big goal year for McDavid. I called 50. Another part of that interview that was interesting is Elliot asked Leon what he thought of the players in the league voting him the best passer in the league. What do you think of that? And Leon started, he gave his real answer first. He was like, I expect that. I expected that. And then he was like, oh, that sounded arrogant. And he was like, no, I'm kidding. It means the world to me that they think that. He did the whole thing, but he does. And I love that about him. He's arrogant. He knows how good he is. He is he may just be the best passer in the league with some filthy passers. Love Leon.
Do you remember once upon a time?
He's pretty pissy too.
Do you remember once upon a time, everybody said that his contract was ridiculous?
He's being an H. Schmill.
That's the best contract in the league.
You know what? I think I'm going to wear this one. I think I said it was too much.
Of course, I did.
Did
I also
I?
said Tom Wilson's
No,
was
I
too
wouldn't
much.
say
Yeah.
that. Did I?
Anyway. If you did, you weren't the only one.
Yeah. $8 million
But,
for Leon Draisaitl.
like,
when he's
last
Yager
night-
with a body, too, you can't get through to get the
Isn't
puck.
last night a prime example of, boys, this is why we make $12.5 million a
We're
year.
just going to take over
Okay,
this.
it's on us.
Yeah.
and we're good. And ultimately, can they win 4 rounds like that?
No. Need a hockey team.
Still watching them and going, oh, God, are you going to put all that weight on those 2 guys again this year to carry you?
Yeah. In the playoffs, it's different, right? Everyone's just a backpack on Draisaitl, and you got to say, well, he's also very hurt.
He was walking wounded. He couldn't skate around there.
Remember how many points he had hurt? Who did they play? Calgary?
Yes.
He has 17 points in 5 games?
Yeah.
With like
he
half
makes
a leg?
He makes $8.5 million for the next 3 seasons. Leon Draisaitl.
He's going to demand that Nathan McKinnon, now you owe me.
Yeah.
Also in the interview with Elliot, he made comments about playing hurt and will he or won't he dress tonight. And I found it very telling that he all but admitted, that's my call. My call.
Yeah, the doctors don't have a say in this. Did you? I actually missed
my
that part.
call.
Yeah.
I decide.
Yeah, this is still a thing in pro sports where they go, "What do you think, Tua? You good?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm good." And they don't listen. The players have way too much say in that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's there.
Like if it's not head,
yeah,
all good.
If it's not head,
All
let the
good.
player make the call.
Whatever. If you got to, didn't Bergeron play with a collapsed lung, like
Bergeron,
punctured
yeah.
lung?
Yeah.
Like if it's not head, it's up to you. But like that's when it's head is when they got to step in.
Yeah.
And they didn't with Tua. So
Certainly did not.
You know what else I found interesting in last night's telecast is I think between the second and the third period against the Toronto Maple Leafs in Montreal, maybe it was Scott. Scott Oak did an interview with Connor McDavid, and the question was about Jack Campbell and the pressure that he would feel and whether or not Toronto prepped him or not. Let's have a listen to Connor McDavid talking about pressure compared to Toronto and Edmonton.
Question about one of your major offseason acquisitions, goaltender Jack Campbell. How do you think his time in Toronto has prepared him for the pressure he'll face here?
Well, he's going to face more pressure there than here. I think for anyone coming from Toronto to Edmonton, it's a little bit similar, but nothing kind of really compares to that pressure cooker there in Toronto. So he's been comfortable, fit right in. He'll be great tonight.
See, that surprised me
because
I just assume that I blanket Canada. I go
That there's pressure.
Toronto, Winnipeg, Vancouver, Montreal, when people expect them to win cups. There is a constant there, but he's sitting there going, hey, that plays in Toronto, man. Nothing compares to them. They're nuts there.
I just feel like the way media and everything goes now, anywhere that there's more eyeballs, media beefs up around it, and then it grows into a bigger sort of monolith. This Toronto media market, it's a lot.
Were you surprised to hear him say that?
Yeah, I am. I was genuinely surprised to hear that. I thought he would just say, there's a lot of pressure here too, and
oh my gosh, there's a ton of pressure.
Yeah.
Those guys every day have to walk by all those Stanley Cups in the dressing room, Gretzky everywhere, Messier. Like, don't tell me Connor doesn't feel that. Maybe.
But he's just saying it's different. Not that there's no pressure. He's saying there's a different level here.
Nothing kind of really compares to that pressure cooker there in Toronto.
Nothing compares to that pressure cooker in Toronto. And that's with no cups for these guys where the world went to color from black and white TV.
The most Toronto-centric thing I can imagine is that I listened to that and said, what does that mean about the chances of Connor McDavid coming to Toronto?
First thing I thought of. First thing.
Don't start up because we got people listening out west.
Does he want the pressure? Does he like the pressure?
Don't let Mark Spector hear you talk like
Remember
that.
him and Gordo last year? Oh my God. They almost fought each other.
That should have been a pay-per-view.
Oh my God.
Which one? Sorry, what?
Mark
one
Spector
day you were
blamed Gord Stellick for starting up all the Connor wants to come to Toronto.
This happened to me.
They
with
got
Mark
hot.
Spector
They got
as
hot.
well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Attaboy, Spec. Call it the way you see it, man. These guys are nothing but trouble in the Toronto media.
Why are you so pissy?
Trying to take their toys away.
I don't know. I think there's just as good a chance of Matthews leaving as there is McDavid leaving.
I'd say there's a better chance of Matthews leaving than McDavid leaving.
That's a great question. Maybe one not for the last 5-10 minutes of the show, but I think that's a very good question.
Might be a better chance of him leaving after last night than there is.
Oh yeah. That's
before that game.
That's the number one scary part about the season. Like if they underwhelm.
Actually, you know what? Good point.
That's the scariest part.
No. Listen, I don't believe for 1 second he's locked in on anything 2 years out.
No.
You know, there may be a point that I'd like to stay, but maybe you guys are keeping me from winning cups.
He says, listen, I saw that 8-year contract you gave Matt Murray, and I just can't be here.
No, but these guys need to know for sure that they're going to get the help or support that they need to carry that legacy from being a great individual player to a champion.
But in Toronto, they're always going to do that. They're always going to have the budget. They're always going to spend to the cap. They're going to give him whatever he needs.
Always going to give away a first-round pick for Foligno. They're always going to give away a draft pick for Patrick Marleau, who ends up being
well, this is my point, though, is you can't say they're not trying to give him what he needs as support.
I'm just saying, though, that if these guys aren't comfortable, like you're going to give me the best opportunity to win, then I got to value that against how much money I'm going to make, endorsements or base salary. And is it really important that I make do I want to make $200 million and not win a championship, or will I take $150 million?
I think that's a great question.
And hope that I can go to an organization that can help me win.
Well, we're putting things on the record. Matthews' next deal is going to be 3 to 5 years.
Ooh, I think, but that's a good point. I think he will be
just
shorter.
to protect him on the bump up
to get another one, to be in line for another one when the cap goes up, and while he's still in his prime. If you give him, if he signs a 5-year deal and he's 31 on the other end of that, and he's in noticeable decline, it affects his numbers significantly. If he signs a 3-year deal, he signs another one at 28, 29. He's still boom. Matthews, the guy who's firing it in. The cap's going up.
I had a
$3 million the right one.
I had a pretty good conversation with a prominent hockey agent that said that these guys, these stars now, are embarrassed about their salaries compared to what they're seeing in the NBA and the NFL.
I think that's affecting
They are
things.
embarrassed.
And wouldn't you be?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm the best in the world in my sport.
Yes.
And I'm making,
I'm making Kikuchi money.
Yeah, great point. I can't even use
the
this guy
worst
in the
pitcher
bullpen.
in the league makes more money than me.
Oh, my God. There's nowhere else to put him now.
No.
Bullpen, what's next?
Yeah.
Mascot?
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it bothers them.
Listen, I'll be honest. It bothers me as a fan because I want to be seen as on par with those other sports.
Can we remember that I think Connor McDavid's original contract on his last 8-year deal was
13 and a half.
13.
He talked it down.
And it got talked down. And I think Connor led the talk down.
Because he wanted to be seen as team first, not
Draisaitl,
greedy.
I think. Draisaitl needed one.
Yeah.
And to your point, not greedy.
And you see,
I think those days are over.
I don't.
For the most part, moving forward. Nathan McKinnon, they dreaded giving him more money than Connor McDavid. They tried so hard to keep him under McDavid.
Why?
Because they know in a few years Rantanen's coming, and they want to win now. They tried to guilt him too.
I like that he took $100,000 more than McDavid.
And that is 1,000% on purpose.
Yes.
No, but it should have been 13. At least 500 or 750,000 more.
Oh, it's very hockey that it's not more. It's actually it's a very reasonable contract.
100 might as well you might as well do $1 for 100.
I'd like to bid $1.
Oh, price is right.
Yeah.
Without going over.
What do you think?
I'd buy that for $1.
What do you think? What do you think the number for Matthews will be?
So if he signs
5?
a 3-year deal,
13.5?
no more,
14?
yeah, between 14 and 15.
It'll be the highest AAV in the history of hockey by far.
God, Yager made $11 million. What? 20 years ago?
20.
That's insane.
20 years
I think
ago.
Matt Sundin here in Toronto was 9.5.
Was it? Let's look it up.
Matt.
But know what's so great about this time? I didn't give a
I know.
crap. I almost swore. I went through like the Rolodex of the swear words I could use.
Nobody cares.
No one cared. Who cares?
It was done.
Who cares?
No one ever cared. And that's like those Islanders
But
teams.
it didn't affect
they didn't even know what
anybody.
each other made.
It didn't affect anybody else.
No.
That's the problem. And now you're greedy now.
It's so stupid to like view a player through the lens of a contract as a fan. You shouldn't have to know. But the reason they have to know is guys get traded because you can't fit them on the team.
Mitch Marner's, you can't find a better example of a guy who's been perceived as holding back the whole organization. His contract has been such a...
They should love him.
A
Toronto
lightning
boy,
rod.
Points, just...
But I think that conversation's shifted big time.
Oh no, it's over. But it's but what we're talking
when he first
about
signed
is 3 years of it.
Mm-hmm.
He took abuse for 3 years, and now nobody's saying anything because it worked out the way it was supposed to work out.
It's a fine contract. It's fine.
But we know
2 more years
the
on
cap
after this
didn't
one.
move,
Yeah.
and so they always went back to him.
What do you think? Do you think the cap is actually going to go up? Like they projected by 2026, which is 4 years from now, that it's up 10 million.
Whatever it is, the Stars will eat it all up. The bottom feeders, they're not going anywhere. You're still going to be at $1.5 million, and that's
there's a lot of guys in those player union meetings going, "Can we raise the salary floor?"
Again, last night's a prime example of why the Connor McDavids and the Dreisaitl's will suck it all up.
Well, where were Toronto's guys?
They're coming tonight.
Yeah, I like that.
Hope so.
Optimism.
It'll be a fun show tomorrow if they don't.
I mean, seriously.
Do you think a loss tonight would start a little bit of a
I don't want
panic?
to. I don't want to
use the
divulge.
P word. Should I use the
poo
P
eating
word?
grin on your face seems like you want it to happen.
No. No, it's too early. I don't need this right now in our show. The Leafs struggling out of the gate. It's too soon.
How late in the season is too soon? So let's say 10 games into the season, the Leafs are.
Give me a number.
They're 2-8. It's a terrible.
Oh my God!
Okay. 3-7. 3-7.
2-8.
Okay, let's say they're 2-8.
Heads are rolling.
Yeah.
In 10 games, you're gonna
2-8. Heads are rolling.
Agree.
No way.
How do you not?
10 hockey games where it's barely November.
Can 2-8's buried teams the whole season.
Yeah. Look at the pressure on these hockey games already.
It's
the
never,
season's over if they're bad in the first 10.
It used to be American Thanksgiving. Not anymore, man. You could go. You go
because of 3-point games. It's like November.
You go 2-10. You may never recover off of that now.
So you're Sheldon Keefe's fired at 2-8.
Oh, I don't think. That's a tough one to answer. But
yeah, I mean
3-7, 4-6.
I don't. Do you give him a chance to finally say, "All right, Willie, I'm moving you"?
Yeah. Do you make a player move before you fire the coach?
Yeah. Do you not give him one chance to say,
I love one game law.
Yes.
0-1 in here.
I can still fix this, and I'm going to go do the thing that everybody's been telling me for the last 3 years to do: move Willie for a defenseman.
He'll never. He is dug in.
Oh yeah,
he is dug in.
Did you throw the 2-10 record to him? And
you know,
how
it
dug
won't be the
in he is?
record.
Everything's great.
It won't be the record. It'll be Brendan in his office going, you have two choices. It's a red pill and a blue pill. One is to get fired. The other's trade Willie. You know, that's the only way that's happening.
So here you go. If they go 2-8 through this stretch, they lost last night, as you guys may know. And then you go Caps, Sens, Coyotes, Stars, Jets, Golden Knights, Sharks.
They'll be
Kings,
fine.
Ducks.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
And then Flyers.
Yeah.
Like,
how many games did you give us?
I don't even know.
Sounded like 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
I
7,
do know
8, 9,
in the first
10.
10 games they had
10.
3 playoff teams from last year, and they weren't great ones. They were like the Kings, the Stars, and Caps.
6-3-1.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
So you're looking for a 5.
That's got 6-3.
So you're looking at 6-2-1 over the next 9.
6-2-1.
I hope.
love it. I love setting the stakes, though.
Everything's great.
We solved nothing today.
We never solve anything.
Nothing.
It's not our job.
Oh, I love you guys.
All right, so what's on tap? You pumped me up on a new Sammy show last night, and I got no Sammy last
Tonight,
night.
there will be Sammy, and there'll be JD Bunkus, Leafs Talk.
Did you figure out how to plug in your camera?
I did. I've got my camera plugged in. I got a ring light, boys. I'm a real influencer now.
Hey, Sam Cam, real Sam Cam tonight.
Tune in if you want to see my face.
Home opener tonight, Washington versus Toronto. Once again, join us tomorrow. Give us a rating and review. We'll talk tomorrow.